Okay, what is up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well this Friday morning. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help out. And of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you check out Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. Link to that at the top of the chat and also in the description below, so you can't miss out on that. You can join other traders, including myself, chat with us, to take a look at different opportunities that you're looking at. And of course, you can find your discount code there to an Elevating Traders Trading Challenge. But guys, welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is well. Got plenty to go through in the markets. We just had the Fed interest rate yesterday. Didn't really cause too much movement in the market, to be honest. Looks like the US elections are kind of drained price a little bit, so it's kind of have less momentum. Of course, that's not really the reason, but it looks like price is already stretched, so it kind of can't stretch anymore. But we didn't really see too much movement yesterday with the Fed. My bias for dollar is still the same. I'm still looking for the same moves, which is a big move to the downside for USD. So upside for euro, upside for Aussie dollar, upside for pound. That's still the plan. And upside for gold and silver as well. We'll get to that in a moment. What's up, Blessing? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Euro USD, yes, we'll go through a bunch of USD pairs. What's up, Tony Gold? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. What's up, Virgil? Welcome to the stream. What's up, Nenad? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. So as I suggested, my bias with DXY is still very much the same. Still looking for a big move to the downside. Come into a really nice area in the weekly chart. I'm liking how the weekly candle is looking like it's about to close. Still got the rest of Friday, but I don't think we've got any major news announcements today, so I'm not expecting too much trouble. So if we can keep this up, you can see you come into this descending trend line here, first test, second, third, and now get that fourth, as well as coming back into a major high there on the left as well, which is proven to be a really sturdy level, as it has been in the past. So this is the prime area where price could put a lower high in and really see a big move to the downside for USD. I was expecting us to see some downside beforehand. We did see a little bit. If I drop to the daily chart, as we can see, the past couple of weeks, we have had a bit of downside, but then we had the US elections and price shot to the moon. But you can see overall the market is still very stretched. We've been very, very bullish for a while since the start of October, really. The market has been slowly grinding higher. So the market's pretty stretched. And I do think a meaningful move to the downside is definitely on the cards. It's just about staying patient for that move. Of course, as long as we hold into that area, if for some other reason we suddenly get a big breakout, I'll reanalyze things and we'll go from there. But at the moment, we're doing a pretty good job at rejecting that level. So I do think USD is going to start to slowly melt to the downside. Dropping to the 4-hour chart, you can see price is looking like all that momentum has kind of disappeared, really. Big move to the upside. You expect pullbacks and continuations of such a big move. The fact that price has just given us that big move, stopped on the dime, really, and sold off pretty hard, is a big sign that, okay, we are losing that strength and likely to roll over. So if we can continue to do that, I think there could be some nice pullbacks and shorts probably going into next week. But the bigger move for me still looks like it's to the downside. Probably not ready to be shorted yet unless you're already in the trade. You don't really want to be looking to enter anything now. And of course, we'll touch on Euro USD as well. But in my book, I'll be expecting more downside. What I would like to see is if price can continue to fall and then probably find some pullbacks next week for continuation and kind of give us a bit of a head and shoulder pattern. So you got the left head and the right shoulder over there. And of course, that will roughly be your neckline. And then you expect to see a continuation to the downside. And in terms of where we could push to, we go to the daily chart. I mean, if I just draw Fibonacci from the low to the high. So, okay, let's make sure we can see that. There we go. From low to the high, we've got the 50% around the 102,750, 103 area. So that's kind of where I'm looking for price to come into. It kind of lines up with this level here on the left as well. A nice major swing low, big push to the upside. So that's roughly where I would expect USD to end up at. We could go a lot further. Like I said, in the weekly chart, we could see a massive swing, right back down into the lows and kind of repeat what we've been doing here. Lower high, lower high, lower high. Could be another one. could be right back at the low. So there's a lot of potential to the downside, but I think just keep it simple. No need to look for such a big swing trade. The move I'm really looking for is pretty nice. So that's the kind of idea I'm looking at going into next week for USD. If you want to see that downside kind of continue, and then we can probably look at some pullbacks next week. If we take a look at Euro USD, I'm pretty much looking at the inverse of that. So again, we've had a big move to the downside. The market's still pretty stretched. But again, I'm looking to see if we can respect this low, which we haven't quite come into. We might test it by like a pip. But I'm still looking to see if price can have a little deeper test. If not, and we keep falling on the USD and we keep rising on Euro, then I want to see a lot more upside. Then again, I'll look for those pullbacks for those buys. Or if price does come back down to retest the low, then I'll again look for some entries in that area there as well. So it's a more aggressive trade, but again, it fits the bias really well. Higher time frames lining up with it pretty well too. So I don't mind it. But if the market does want to keep pushing to the upside today and sometime next week as well, I'll wait for us to push high again, kind of forming that head and shoulder pattern or inverse head and shoulder pattern in this situation. Left head, and if you do push up, right shoulder there, that being your neckline, and then you can expect continuations after that. And that's a horrible trend line, and that will kind of be your trade there for next week, or maybe the week after, depends how long it takes to develop. But yeah, in terms of the bias, looking for upside there for Euro. If we do push back down to the lows, I'll see what we can do. If the market decides it wants to remain bullish and keep pushing higher, then I will be looking for some pullbacks at some point next week. Just depends how price develops. But as I said, this is the low which I'm looking for the bounce from, around 1.06700. And let's see if the market comes there again, or if we do push away. In terms of some other USD pairs, so I do like Aussie dollar as well. This one I'm looking for a lot of upside. Let me get to the FXCM. So yeah, this one I'm looking for a lot of upside as well. Again, I do think a big pullback is due back to some areas up here around 0.68. That's kind of where I'm looking for price to get to. It's kind of looking like it's respecting this low, maybe not the most major area in the market, which is why I'm not really looking to trade Aussie dollar. We've still got major support down there, which is kind of my number one place to look to buy Aussie at the moment, because if we zoom out, it is kind of like a big range. So effectively, I want to buy as low or sell as high as possible. But it does look like price is holding onto that area. And if we can keep that up, I do think there's room to the upside, especially looking at the 4-hour price action. This is kind of a really nice double bottom down here. Price has just gone and broke through some structure yesterday. So now I'm expecting a pullback, a higher low somewhere, and a continuation to the upside. So it looks to me that Aussie dollar is ready to push now. Really strong move there, breaking structure. You can imagine this is the US elections, putting that high, a lot of aggressive momentum to the downside. But all it did was just respect the low and bounce right back up again. So to me, that's a bit like an anticlimactic sell-off, really. If the market was really going to continue, it would have broke through that floor and kept going. The fact that we just respected it with a few wicks and shot to the upside, equally as aggressively, tells to me that we're probably going to push to the upside here now. So again, Aussie dollar pullbacks, continuations look good. I think New Zealand dollar is looking very, very similar. Yeah, to a degree, maybe not as good as Aussie dollar, because it looks like we just about broken the high, but Aussie dollar's done it more confidently. Again, looking for a similar thing, a pullback now and a continuation. The market failed to really break through that floor, really heavy sell, but all it amounted to is just price respect in that area and now pushing to the upside. So again, as the USD, I do think we are in the business for a pullback now. You can see how far the market's fallen, how stretched we are. I've been talking about a retest of this low, which I think is looking more and more likely as the days go on. At one point, I thought we were going to keep falling back into the low here, but it does look like the market is finding support in this area. I mean, it's not the most significant price to me, so it's nothing that I'm looking to buy from, but it does look like the market's having a really hard time trying to break through 0.595. So to me, I'm expecting some upside and a retest around 0.612. If I do drop to the 4-hour, it could be some nice entries if we're to come back and retest that level again. and look for some entries in that area. But yeah, not too sure if we'll see a big enough pullback, but it does remain a nice area to long from, and expect to see more upside. If we take a look at dollar CHF, I'm pretty sure that's come back to a nice area on the 4 hour. Yes, it has really nice area there on the left, respecting it pretty well. Bit of a breakout, but the market's coming back underneath. So again, with dollar CHF, all kind of forming similar patterns in terms of their head and shoulders, which is the left over there. If we do come back down, you're expecting that kind of right shoulder to form, then looking for some downside. Yeah, that to me is an indication that, again, dollar CHF is at an area where we could sell off from. I'm pretty sure we're lining up for a big level on the weekly chart as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, big level on the weekly, just about tapped into it as well. So we do have some reasons for dollar CHF to head down. And of course, if DXY is going to reject that area, there's a good chance we are going to see some downside. Pound USD, I'm looking for a similar move, but I'm not as big a fan with this pair as with some of the other USD pairs. But again, pound USD has been in this corrective channel for a very, very long time. And again, looking like it's running out of energy. So I do expect to see move to the upside. Of course, we need to break out first and do it confidently. And when we do that, then I'll speak about the buys and the pullbacks. At the moment, we're still in the channel. And for all we know, we could actually see another move back down. But I'm not really interested in the sells right now for pound USD. I do think the bigger move is likely to the upside. So I'm waiting for the break of that channel, and then that will be the catalyst to expect more upside. If we take a look at gold and silver, of course, gold and silver, big moves to the downside yesterday, but they did recover some of that. So it's a bit awkward with gold, because I was looking to buy on the retest of the high here. Looks like price is breaking back above it, but it's not very clean. So I'm not really looking to take any entries there with gold at the moment. I'm still bullish, but I'm waiting for price to kind of develop a little bit more. If anything, I don't actually mind the sells back up here. I would say short-term sells, though, because we did have a brief consolidation, and we dropped really, really hard through that level. So that tells me it's a nice place for a short. I wouldn't look for a big continuation, though, because, of course, gold on the higher time frames is still very bullish. We haven't broken through any major structure. So I wouldn't be looking to short and hold on to anything for too long. But it still does remain a nice place to actually take some intraday sell opportunities and look for a reaction, something. Again, it depends how we get there and how we situate, but looking for a reaction from that area, 2730 looks like a nice place for a short. We may just form a higher low and then continue on, but could still be an opportunity to profit from. And then silver, I actually do like silver again. I was looking for some original buys around 32.5, but we've broken through that level. So now I'm concentrated more on this area around 30.4. So if silver does continue to push down a little bit further, that would be great. And then from there, I'm looking for a buy. Again, not necessarily looking to take it all the way back to the high. If it does, great. I will be looking to trail stops. But again, at least looking for a reaction, possibly back into this area here, 32.3. That could be a nice trade in itself. Maybe take some profits there, and then we see if we can break through that. But this is kind of what I'm looking at for silver now. And hopefully we can get that set up probably sometime next week, because I highly doubt we'll get there today. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at for the USD pairs. Overall, with USD, DXY, I'm looking for weakness. So all the USD majors, I'm looking for upside. And of course, gold and silver, generally just looking for upside anyway. But the USD bias does fits the plan pretty nicely as well. So hopefully we can get some opportunities. And yeah, expecting a lot more upside. We'll go through. Hey, what's up, Pedro? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Yeah, that is true, Ninad. JPY pairs are definitely looking pretty bearish. JPY looks a bit strong. Rocker red countdown lift off. What's up, DS? Hope you're good, my man. Welcome to the stream. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Hope you're well. Good morning, Chashi. Hope you're well. Lockdown. I'm going long versus JPY with various currencies. Okay, so you want to short JPY. So buy like pound yen, euro yen. Okay, we'll go through some yen pairs. Yeah, we did see a bit of downside this morning with some of the yen pairs. I think euro yen had a big move down. Yeah, broke out that consolidation. But again, we're kind of expecting this. I've been talking about this for a while now. I'm looking for the yen pairs to have that downside because later on there could be some nice buys. Who knows? Maybe this is the start of a major sell, but we'll talk about that as price develops. But again, on the daily chart, we've had some really big moves for the yen pairs, and to me, this is still very, very corrective. So I do expect us to go through a bit of a pullback at some point, and it looks like we're going through that today. And with euro yen, I have spoke about some areas where buys look good. Yeah, possibly the retest of the high down there, not too far away, and the retest of this area here as well. So it depends where price wants to hold, where it wants to respect. But 163.5 and 162, we'll call it, look like really nice places for some buys. And we're not too far away anymore, not too far away. Really strong breakout. Maybe we go for a retest first and then continue. But I do think the buys look good as we do approach some of those prices. CHF JPY, I'm pretty sure that's having a bit of retracement as well. Maybe not as much or as aggressive as euro yen, but seeing some downside. Is breaking out of this area here. And I do like the buys from 174 and also from the high here as well. So a couple of areas I'm looking at. Depends how we get there, how we react, whether I do take any trades or not. But we're coming to some nice areas where there is a big possibility for a bounce. If the market is going to continue this momentum and this trend, these are some likely areas where we could see some buyers step in and the continuation of that momentum. But yeah, the yen pairs are definitely looking a little bit bearish this morning. Let me quickly have a look at the Japanese index. Okay, so it's only looking a little bit bearish. I thought we'd be selling off a little bit harder than that. But yeah, the Japanese index to me still looks pretty bullish. I know we're kind of struggling at the highs there a little bit. Yeah, let me clear the chart. Again, we've got the all-time highs over there. I know it's an index, so naturally we're going to look bullish anyway. But typically when the index is pushing up, so do the yen pairs. When the index does go through a bit of a sell-off, so do the yen pairs as well, which is kind of, when we got this big move here in July, all the yen pairs were tanking as well. But yeah, for the yen pairs to really get going, this one needs to probably see some downside to some of these areas if the yen pairs are really going to sell off. So it might just be a slight correction we'll see, and then they continue to push up. So that's why I'm kind of looking at the yen pairs as having a pullback, but then later on they probably will continue to push higher up. This was a big area of resistance supply there. It looks like price is still kind of flirting with the idea of breaking through it. It looks like it's had a few attempts to try and break through that area, but it's failed a few times. Actually, this is not quite confirmed yet, but if it does see a strong close back underneath today, might see a bit more downside before we push on later on. But yeah, the Japanese index is having a bit of a tough time, so that kind of explains why we're seeing a bit of weakness there for the yen pairs. And if that really does sell off, so the yen pairs will have some big hits. What's up, Madalena? Definitely saying your name incorrectly, but much appreciated. Love right back at you. Big fan of Rwanda as well. Antonio, what's up? Hope you're doing good, my man. Raheel, pound yen. Okay, we'll take a look at pound yen. So pound yen, again, not a yen pair which I'm looking to trade. There's some other yen pairs which fit my fancy a little bit more. But it's the same bias in terms of, okay, I'm expecting pound yen to go for a bit of a bearish move. We've been very corrective in this ascending channel here, and I'm just looking for price to now have a bit of a breather. You can see how we've been moving. Price has been very, very corrective, not the characteristics of a sustainable trend, or at least a healthy trend. When we're moving correctly like this, it tends to mean that the market is about to get ready for a big sell-off. And yeah, I'm expecting pound yen to do that. Now, there is a major high back over here, which we could definitely come into, for a retest and possibly see the next swing to the upside. We've got one higher low down here, second one over there, and Potentially you could see a third one in that same area. If I whip out a larger trend line, price would come back, retest that area, and continue to the upside. So the bigger move still might be to the upside for pound yen and the rest of the yen pairs, as we discussed. But at this point in time, I do think we'll go through a bit of a bearish move for the next 2-3 days, maybe longer. You can see prices fading at the high there as well. So it looks like we're forming a bit of a double top as well. So really showing the characteristics of a market that is tired and about to sell off. So in my opinion, I would be looking at, it's difficult to find a nice sell for pound yen. At least if we were to push, let's say if we push back to the high, then of course you can base a trade up there for sell, taking some entries there, stop losses above the high. But it's difficult to sell now because we've already had a bit of a bearish move. So, you don't really have a solid place to put an entry or a stop loss. You can enter, just that your stop loss is pretty big and the risk reward will be skewed. So if price was to come up, you can discuss some sells up there. Otherwise, I find it hard to see where I can find some nice entries, even in the lower time frames, because we already had a big sell. So it's difficult to see where you can get a trade. But in terms of the direction for the next few days, I do expect to see some downside for pound yen. And then we can discuss some buys again when we approach the 193, 250 area. And then that's when I'll start speaking about some buys. But overall, this is a market that looks like it's pretty tired. And that's one way to kind of anticipate your bigger pullbacks in the market, because if you have a trend, for example, one of the worst things you can do is follow the trend too aggressively, unnecessarily. So, for example, you've got a trend like this, which is to the upside. And if you're a trend trader, of course, you're looking to take the buys and follow the trend. But being aware when the trend is a little bit tired and when a bigger pullback is going to happen can be very beneficial, because it can stop you getting to unnecessary buys and get into some really good buys after we've seen a bigger pullback. So typically when the market becomes very corrective like this and we kind of move in an ascending channel or a descending channel, it's a sign that the market is tiring. Not all the time. There will be times where you get a corrective move and sometimes price just accelerates to the upside for whatever reason. But on average, it's a sign that the market is about to tire. But the key thing is it's about to tire, not that it will tire right now, because trying to short the market and anticipate that sell can be quite difficult, because the market can always grind a little bit higher before it does sell, and that little bit higher could tag your stop loss and then take the move. So when the markets are like this, I'd rather just wait for the market to give me the bearish move and then look to anticipate the buys once they do form later on. So when the market is pretty corrective, I tend to wait for the buys. And we're kind of seeing a lot of markets like this. Pound USD, for example, market's very, very corrective. I'm expecting a move to the upside at some point. Another one ends the USD. That's been very, very corrective. I'm expecting a move to the upside at some point. Well, I think it's going to be happening sooner rather than later right now. Aussie dollar's another one. It's been very, very corrective. I'm expecting that one to give us a move to the upside at some point as well. And it kind of has done that now. I expect it to keep going, but it's kind of broken out that descending channel. Now it looks like we're going to see some continuation. Another one as well was DXY, which we did see a bit of a downside move not long ago. You can see price was very, very corrective here. And we did see price eventually spill over and give us a nice bearish move. And this was the bigger pullback, although it wasn't very, very big, but it was the bigger pullback. And then the market decided wanted to continue to the upside. So understanding characteristics can be very, very important in terms of identifying healthy trends and also trends which are worth following or worth waiting to give you a bigger pullback. Because if you see a trend which is giving you characteristics of a really strong push, a very corrective pullback and another strong push to the upside, this is the best case scenario of a healthy trend. Impulsive moves, kind of short, slow pullbacks, corrective pullbacks, another impulsive move. If you see another pullback like that, that's the opportunities you want to get into as a trend trader and look to follow. And those are the characteristics you want to look for. Strong, big bearish or bullish candles, depending on which way it's trending, and then slow corrective moves. Those tend to give you the best trends and the best setups. When the market is corrective and it's not really showing much momentum in either direction, Not that you can't find good trades, but it's a lot more difficult. You're going to see less good opportunities, and it won't be as clear as the healthy trends. Pound Aussie. Okay, we'll take a look. Let me know what you're looking at on Pound Aussie. So yeah, Pound Aussie, bit of a sell-off to the downside. Of course, we had Bank of England yesterday, interest rates yesterday, which we were looking for weakness in pound because we were expecting the rates to cut. They did cut, but we had a bit of a bullish reaction. Bit of a bullish reaction. I think this was the news candle there yesterday. Overall, the market did kind of sell off a little bit afterwards, but overall, we actually have a slightly bullish reaction because we're trading above it. But again, the Bank of England interest rate isn't the biggest thing in the world, especially if it comes out as predicted. If it comes out very different from what is predicted, then we could see a lot of movement. But it pretty much did its job yesterday. So we did see a bit of downside, but hasn't really amounted to much, at least against Pound Aussie anyway. Yeah, with Pound Aussie, again, a very choppy market. There is a slight upwards trend to it with the higher lows. Again, you can't see you got the low there. You got the kind of double bottom, but another high low there as well. Another high low there as well. And keep missing. There we go. Another high low there as well. And potentially a third one there as well. So the market is slowly grinding higher. And I do like the buys for this one if we do come a lot deeper. If we come back into this low here, I think that's a nice place for a buy naturally. And we could see another reaction. Other than that, I'm not really seeing much of a setup really. This is kind of bearish territory up here where we've got all the rejection, all the wicks. I still think there's a good chance we could come up to the high over there, but I need price to have a much deeper pullback, much deeper correction before getting into any buys. So 1.929 back into that low is kind of where I want to see price move into. If you're looking for some shorts in the meantime, not a bad area here, but I just would be careful. I wouldn't look to try and look for anything crazy in terms of a big swing, because if you look around you, look how corrective and choppy and indecisive the price action is. Very, very difficult market conditions to look for breaking retests and trend type setups here. This is a very choppy market, and a market where you want to buy low and sell high. So if you are looking for breaking retests like this type of opportunity here, it's not a good opportunity, but if you do get a nice trade, you kind of want to be aggressive with your management and not try and let the trade run too much, because there's a good chance your floating profit could vanish and price will just push back up again, because that's the type of conditions we're trading in. So there could be some nice shorts around 1.95, and you could look to write it down, but I would be very careful with that trade management and look like I'm protecting my profits. In terms of a nice buy, down here low, away from all the noise, back into major support, that looks like a nice place for a buy to me. This is like a big fake out of that low, so 1.93 looks like a nice place to enter some longs. It kind of fits that slightly bullish bias as well. But yeah, that's kind of what I've got for Pound Aussie. Definitely not my favorite pair at the moment. Hey, what's up, Keris? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Welcome. But yeah, when you are looking to trade these type of conditions, the best thing to do is look to focus on the extremes, looking like you're buying low or you're selling high. Away from the noise, because in this area here is where a lot of people are going to be losing a lot of money unnecessarily. You want to be focusing your efforts up there or down here in these areas. Again, not that you will win every trade, of course not, but you'll be a lot better off for it, and you'll be better off for the risk reward as well. Because if you are successful and you do catch a nice swing, you could be looking to ride some nice moves and nice reversals. Okay, the shorts was one you're looking for. Okay, nice. Yeah, so with the shorts, I just wouldn't look to try and stretch the trade too far. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a nice area to short from, because I think it is. There's some nice level support. We broke through with a lot of momentum. So it does look like a nice place to look to short the market. I agree. But just because of how price is moving, how choppy it is, I wouldn't look for like a big drop per se into this low. You can do, but I would advise taking profits along the way, maybe trailing a stop, because I wouldn't be surprised if we have a nice reaction, we see a bit of downside, and suddenly the market shoots up, um, you or tags you out for a break even. So be careful with that, but it is a nice level on the lower time frames. Okay, Aussie CHF we'll take a look at, no problem. So yeah, Aussie CHF looking pretty bearish. We did come into a nice area. You can see on the left here a lot of rejection around this area here in the 4 hour. Markets had a hard time trying to break. Ooh, there we go. Markets had a hard time trying to break through this area, and price is rejecting pretty well. The thing with Aussie CHF is I've been looking for a big move to the downside in the higher time frames. I've been looking for a push back into the low here. Very, very strong level of support. I was expecting us just to roll back over into that level. And yeah, we had a lot of bullish momentum yesterday. So we kind of came about 3/4 of the way to that target before the price just forms a low and rockets to the upside. But overall, to me, it still looks pretty bearish. I still think there is a move to be had to the downside. If I was in some shorts, I probably wouldn't look to stretch it all the way back to that low anymore, since we did bottom out here. So I would suggest taking a little bit of easy with some shorts. But yeah, I mean, up here is where you want to sell from. You can see a lot of rejection in this area. Of course, bit of a fake up there. But there's a lot of rejection in this area. So this is kind of where you want to focus your entries. Now the market is already trading down here. Not the best time to be looking to enter a trade anymore, unless we kind of fizzle out, push back into the high. Then again, you can look for some more entries to take it back down again. But in terms of a place to look to sell from, 0.582 looks like a really nice place to me. Looks like a really nice place to me. I wouldn't do anything else, to be honest. I wouldn't really look to buy. If I was going to buy, it would have to be a lot further down here. And if I was looking to sell, it would be up here. But now the price is already looking pretty bearish. You need price to at least come back and retest that, unless you're already in the trade, of course. And then you can look for some shorts. This is like a nice area to target. We had a brief pause and a big shift in momentum. That could be where price is going before we do see some upside. But yeah, if you're looking to short, I'd at least wait for price to push back into resistance again. And then we can speak about some sells. Something like that. Let me know what you're looking at for Aussie CHF as well. And if you guys are looking at different time frames as well, let me know, because I know some of you will be looking at the lower time frames and some of you will be looking at higher time frames. So if you have a particular opportunity you want me to look at on a particular time frame, just let me know. But yeah, we'll have a look at dollar CAD Antonio. So yeah, dollar CAD, nice reaction to the downside yesterday. Really nice reaction to the downside. And again, you would expect it because of where we're trading. Massive area of resistance, as we can see here. So big rejection there, big rejection there, big rejection there. And then we came into again for a fourth time. So naturally expecting to see another reaction. It might not continue all the way back to these lows, but at least the reaction is what we're anticipating. That's what we're kind of seeing this week anyway. So I do think dollar CAD's at a nice place for some shorts. If you drop to the lower time frames, you can see in the 4 hour, it looks like we're failing at the highs, presumably forming a bit of a double top there. If you are looking to short the market, let me get rid of that since we know it's there. If you are looking to short the market, that is the place to do it. Again, it's always a bit difficult trying to call the top when it's such a bullish move, but you are in a nice area. Not only are we kind of forming this double top opportunity, but the market's also trading in a massive area of high time frame resistance. So you're definitely in a nice place to sell. Stops above the high. If it is a fake out, you can always look to re-enter. And the risk reward looks really good. Should it play out, I'm expecting us to at least come back into this area down there at 1.375. We had this ascending channel keeping us bullish, but since the breakout, we've been looking a little bit bearish now. So I do think there is room for us to push into. And again, these could be some nice targets as well. That'll be up to you. But in terms of a nice place to short, it's got to be up at the high. Or at least if you're waiting for some bullish bearish structure to develop, some lower lows and lower highs, then you can probably find a retest somewhere, but probably a few days away from that fully developing. But for now, shorts around 1.395 look good. And yeah, expecting dollar CAD to push down. And if my bias is correct with the DXY as well, that should really help out USD CAD to the downside too. So I'm pretty bearish on dollar CAD, not looking to buy it. I understand we've had a bit of an up move there. Things are looking pretty bullish if you just isolate that momentum. So I understand that, but I can never be bullish in an area where we're trading on the higher time frames. If we were to break through, then of course I'll speak about the buys, but we haven't done that yet. What's up, DS? Hey, what's up, CS Integrated? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Welcome, welcome. You've got a buyout on gold. Okay, nice. Oh wow, for the last month. So I don't think I missed the boat. What do you think? Okay, let me have a quick look at that. So you got a order in at 26.40. Damn, that is very close to filling. Wow, that's very unlucky. Yeah, I mean it really depends with orders, because I don't really trade with orders myself. But from people I know who trade orders, they do have like a certain condition when they will take an order off and say the opportunity is missed. Some people just let the order be hit kind of under any circumstance, and they just manage the trade accordingly. Possibly the boat might have sailed. Possibly we might come back down for another retest. I wouldn't say it's clear either or, because this was such a big heavy drop. And yes, we have seen some nice bullish momentum, but I'm not quite convinced that we're just going to suddenly fly to the upside. If it is, it is the boat has been missed. But if the rules still apply to your trade and everything still fits the plan and nothing's been invalidated, then I would still say hold on for that trade. It's a nice area down here. I think looking to get long there makes sense. If price does get there again, I would expect to see a bounce. Yeah, I would expect to see a bounce. And what you could do is you could set an alert like over here, for example, and you can pull the order off, so you don't have to be thinking about it or keep it in your mind, because maybe that could cause a bit of unnecessary stress. So what you could do is pull the order, because of course price is nowhere near your order right now. Put an alert there, and when price gets the alert, if it gets the alert, it'll be triggered, and then you can look to add your alert back on at your price, as long as everything still fits your plan and everything is still correct and your bias hasn't been changed or whatnot. So I would say it's not clear if you missed the boat. Price could come back down for a retest. I mean, I'm looking for another push to the downside for silver. So if silver is going to be kind enough to push down for me, then maybe gold's going to be kind enough to push down for you as well. So I wouldn't say the boat is 100% missed. There's still a possibility we come back down, but maybe pulling the order off, because we're nowhere near your order right now. Set the alert. If the alert gets triggered, then you can add it back on and go from there. But yeah, that was very, very close there. Very close to being triggered. Okay, I'll quickly go through the DXY, and then I'll go through some yen pairs, because I've been through a couple of them, but I'll go through the rest. A short bullish possibility. So you're looking for a short-term buy. Okay. I'll take a look. So yeah, for the DXY, I'm still looking for that big move to the downside on the higher time frames. So that still stands from yesterday, really, which is come back into this area. I'm looking for a big reaction to the downside. I've highlighted this area around the 50% of the fib from that low to that high. This is where kind of a healthy pullback would lie into, where maybe we might see some upside or continue lower. But this is kind of the area I'm expecting the dollar to get to over the next couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. As we reject that area of confluence. I'm liking how the weekly candle is closing as well. Big wick to the upside, of course. Still got rest of the day before that candle does close, but if you can close similar to how we're looking, I don't think we've got any major news announcements today anyway, so I'm not expecting anything crazy. But if you can look similar to how we're looking now, that's a nice sign to me that momentum is definitely fading in this bullish move. A big move to the downside is going to come around most likely. But if I do drop to the lower time frames, you said the 30-minute. So 30-minute looking for a short-term bullish bias around 105.2. Oh, are you looking to buy towards 105.2? Or same bias in terms of the higher time frame. Now just playing with some fire tight stop loss. Okay, so are you looking to buy from the 105.2 area, or is that your target? Or do you mean 104.2? Oh, okay, buy towards 105.2. Yeah, possibly. I mean, we're at an area where the market's kind of retraced most of that bullish leg, so we can probably see some reactions coming in to the upside. Yeah, I mean, I'm not quite convinced on such a big move to 105.2. Doesn't mean it won't happen. But yeah, I'm not quite convinced on 105.2. We might see a reaction. I'll probably watch out for some areas around here. That's kind of our last pause in the market. We had a big drop, so naturally we might push back into that area. We might see a continuation. Maybe we do break and hit 105.2. But I think that could probably be the first area where maybe managing the trade, pulling some partial profits, or trading a stop to break even, however you want to manage it, would make some sense. We'd have to break through that area if we're going to get to 105.2. But watch out for 104.8 roughly. I think that's probably a sensible place to secure some profits. But yeah, for me, I'm only kind of focused on the down move, and of course, I'm looking at the higher time frames. But I can admit, big strong move. Looks like we're having a retest of the high here on the left, and we're doing a pretty good job at respecting it. So we might see price push up again this afternoon come the US session, but I'm expecting us to roll over. But yeah, not a bad play on the lower time frames. But for me, I'm just only focused on the shorts for now. Only focus on the shorts. Okay, shorts around 104.8. Yeah, I like 104.8 for some sales. I mean, I don't trade on 30-minute, but if I was, that would be a nice area where it has slight pause and all that momentum came from. So I might see a reaction there this afternoon. Let me have a quick look with the news before I go to the yen pairs. So yeah, Friday. Okay, got CAD unemployment rates at 130. That could be a bit noisy for CAD. If anyone's looking to trade CAD, be aware of that one, which is unemployment rate expected to go up a little bit, 6.5 to 6.6. Not the best outcome there for CAD if that's the case. And then we got Michigan consumer sentiment for USD at 3 o'clock UK time. Again, not really a big news event either. So might see a bit of movement, particularly for CAD, but USD wise, not much. The bulk of the news is definitely behind us. So we'll see what happens in the New York session, but not necessarily expecting much to happen. So I'm going to keep a close eye on the weekly candles because I don't expect them to change too much between now and the end of the day. But we'll go through some yen pairs. So I suggested the yen pairs. I do think some retracement is definitely on the cards. So euro yen, you can see we are looking pretty bearish. We finally broke to the downside with this one. This was the consolidation price was trading for a few days. It was looking very, very slow, but all of a sudden, boom, the market's breaking to the downside. And that's the thing about consolidation. It can be very, very dead for a while, and then all of a sudden momentum comes and things are looking, things are moving. So yeah, keeping a close eye on Euro Yen, 163.5 looks to me like a nice area where price could bounce. As we can see, multiple tests of that area. And I also like this zone underneath us around 162. Should that first level break, where I don't see the confirmations I want, I will look again at 162 for a bounce. I'm not necessarily looking to continue the trend all the way back to the high, but again, if I can get 1 to 2, 1 to 3, at least back into retesting the low of the consolidation, I know I can profit on that move. And if price does continue, I'll keep trading and see how far I can take it. But this is where I'm expecting at least to see a bounce for Euro Yen. If I go to Pound Yen, another market which again I'm looking for a bit of downside first before some buys later on. So again, you can see the channel will be moving in. I do expect this to break. This is very, very corrective behavior, not a sign of a healthy trending market, and a market that's likely going to go for a bit of a bearish counter trend. The bigger move still may be to the upside. You can see the high lows the market's putting in. We may just come back into this area, fall another high low, and Bob's your uncle. The market's flying again. But for now, I do think the bigger move is still to the downside. Difficult to get into any shorts if you aren't already shorting Pound Yen, because at the moment we're coming back into this trend line. We've already seen a big move. So if you aren't already short on the move, the boat is kind of sailed with this one unless it's come back into the high, and then you can look to plot some trades there. At the moment, the market is definitely struggling to break the high, so I would be very careful about taking some shorts. In terms of CHF JPY, another yen pair which I do like. Again, seeing some downside, maybe not as aggressive as Euro Yen or Pound Yen, but we are seeing some downside here. And as I spoke about yesterday, I like this area for a bounce around 173.900. I also like this area for a bounce around 172.800. I do think we can see some upside from those same areas. And again, with the confident bullish moves we've seen recently, strong bullish move over there, another strong bullish move over here as well. I'm looking for this just to be a deeper correction, and looking for possibly another continuation of that. Because with CHF JPY, we've kind of broken through some key areas here on the left. So I do think the next big area is that high. So I'm kind of looking for a pullback to us just continue that move, essentially back to the high there as well. So there's a lot of upside potential there for CHF JPY if we can continue the trend. If we take a look at okay, 163.5 is where you get involved. If we take a look at USD JPY, I'm pretty sure this one's looking a little bit bearish as well. Yeah, coming down pretty hard. So again, with dollar yen, another market which I do expect to go for a deeper retracement. How's the weekly chart looking? See, the weekly's not really giving me much information here because we're trading at major area of resistance, and all we're doing is just wicking around, which is a bit of a sign that the market is struggling at these prices. And maybe we're going to go through a bit of a move to the downside here because, as I said the past couple of weeks, this is a very pivotal price for dollar yen. You can see massive rejection over here, massive rejection over there. We broke out of it, respected the support over there, and now we're back retesting that same area as resistance over there. It's not the cleanest retest, but we're trading at those same prices again. And what I wanted to see was just a strong candle close above this level. So just a strong weekly candle close to tell me, okay, the buyers have broken through this area confidently. The market is now likely just to continue to the upside. You've got the high over there we can target as well. On the other hand, if we don't do that, and the market does reject the high continuously, then that's a big sign to me that, okay, we could actually go for a really major sell-off here, possibly back down to these lows. And of course, that would start a really nice bearish trend, and we'll be looking to continue that. So with dollar yen, I'm not quite convinced here. I'm not quite convinced. It'll be interesting to see how this weekly candle does close. If we were to close like a bearish shooting star, for example, so say, for example, this current doji just continues to fall and we close bearish, like near the bottom of that wick, that would be to me a sign that the market's struggling to break through this, and that would be a very bearish signal for me going into next week. And what I would be saying is if the market does break through this floor here, because it has been a sturdy level of support, once over there, second time over there. If you do break through this floor, that to me is a massive sign saying, okay, the market is likely to keep shorting, and we're probably going to see a lot of downside. And a break and retest like that might be a really nice opportunity. And this could really just let fly, really. You could see price completely collapse back down to 141, and it could be a really big swing trade. And that's the thing with the yen pairs. When they do sell, they really do sell. If you look at the average price and how long it takes for it to see a bullish move versus a bearish move, it's about twice as quick, the bearish moves. You can see big short there, big short there, big short there, big short there, big short there as well. So when we do push the upside, we grind a little bit higher, but the shorts are so much faster. It's almost like an indice, really. So if we are going to sell off and reject this area, I can expect to see a lot of momentum. So pullbacks is definitely what I'll be after. And I have to keep a close eye on 151, 400. But we'll see by the end of the week, because still got about 11 hours or 10 hours or something like that before the candle does close on the weekly chart. But if we close underneath that level, yeah, looking at big shorts next week. CAD Yen is at a similar situation as well, where we're trading at a massive level of resistance, seeing some momentum at the moment. As you can see on the weekly chart, if I take this wick here and I drag it across, again, you can see major reactions at that area once, a second time there. And again, you can see we're doing it a third time here as well. So the fact that we're just leaving a big wick there to the upside, not a good sign there for CAD Yen buyers anyway. If you're short bias, you might be loving this. Again, we'll see how the weekly candle closes, but if it just leaves another wick like that to the upside, it doesn't give me a lot of confidence that the buyers are taking control here. And yeah, to me, I wouldn't be surprised if we just go through a bit of a drop to the downside here. There still might be some nice buys in the meantime, but the bigger move may be to the downside. I was speaking about some buys early in the week around this level. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. Price didn't get there. We formed a higher low and another push, but if you have another push back down now, that will be a break of structure to me, because this is the higher low, which gave us the high. So if you do see a break of structure at that point, as well for strong close in the weekly chart, probably going to see a correction and a big drop down. I'll probably back away from the buys there. So yeah, the yen pairs are some really interesting areas where we might be seeing price completely reverse. If I take a look at Aussie yen and New Zealand yen, I think these guys had some breakouts or some fake outs. Yeah, fake out. Look at that price action there. So that's why I was speaking on this one yesterday, because it looked like we're having the breakout. And I said to people on the stream, I said, I'm not quite convinced with this one, because number one, when I'm looking for my breakouts, I'm always looking for a lot of momentum, and I'm looking for price to clear the level of resistance or support, depending on which one we're breaking through, but clear it for a lot of distance as well. Because if you can clear it by a lot of distance, that to me is an undeniable breakout. If we can see a break like this, I'm like, yeah, that's a confident break. If the market would come back and retest this, there's a good chance we're going to hold and continue. So I'm always looking for the big breakouts and always looking for the breakouts with a lot of momentum, and then I'm looking to continue those moves. The only downside about that is that you don't always get the pullbacks, because if you do see a big breakout, a very convincing breakout, sometimes, I'll probably say half the time, the market just keeps pushing. And it doesn't give you the pullback. So that's the downside about it. You get less opportunities, but on the pro side, on the good side, the opportunities you do get are good quality, and they're less likely of being a big fake out. So they're really great buying opportunities. But this one only just about broke the high, so I was never convinced. And now that we've closed back inside the range, that's just another textbook fake out for you. So probably going to see another push back to the low end of things. Back into the 90.5 region. And then we'll just wait to see for the next breakout, to be honest, because it's going to break out eventually. It's not going to be in the range forever. It's going to break out eventually, and there'll be some nice opportunities when it does happen. It's just about staying patient and not kind of getting involved in unnecessary trades. So If you are going to break to the downside, great. We'll wait for that to happen, waiting for a convincing break. And then we can talk about some shorts. And I do have some targets where we can end up at. First off, this low here, massive level of support. That's naturally where we're expecting price to get to. But you can see we're having a really tough time at respecting this high. So yeah, I will wait to see if we can get the break to the downside. And if we take a look at Aussie yen as well quickly. So yeah, Aussie yen as well, not quite convinced with this one. We had a break to the upside. To be fair, this had a nice breakout. I'll give this one its flowers because it had a nice breakout, but no successful retest. And those are the two elements I'm looking for: a healthy breakout with a healthy retest. And what I want to see my retest really just wicks and a bullish engulfing candle. I want momentum to shift. Here we did have a nice breakout. We cleared it by nice momentum. Now we'll come back for the retest. Unfortunately, not really seeing evidence of a retest or a successful retest anyway. So again, if this is another fake out, then you're probably going to see another move back to the low end of the range, and maybe price will give you the break to the downside. And of course, we'll speak about that when it happens. But it looks like we might be seeing another big fake out there for Aussie yen as well, which is not great. But yeah, I am starting to think that the yen pairs might be in for a really big move to the downside here. I'm starting to think that. Okay, we'll go through some indices. That's our head and shoulder USD/JPY on the daily chart. I think I know the pattern you're mentioning. So you're looking at this as your left shoulder, this as your head, and then this is your right shoulder. Yeah, I fully agree with that, to be honest. I want to see price kind of break back inside the high, though, because if I go back to the weekly chart, we are leaving a big wick there to the upside, which is great. But I want to see us get a nice candle closure back inside the high again, because this is essentially the resistance level, and I want price to hold that. So if it does hold it, then yeah, the sells are back on. But we are seeing the signs of a big head and shoulder pattern, so I definitely agree with that take. We'll go through pound CAD, Morgan, no problem. Great to hear, Nanad. Great to hear that it's helping. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. Of course, make sure you do hit the bell as well if you haven't done already, to not miss out on any uploads or streams in the future. It really does help out. But yeah, thanks to everyone who has liked the stream so far. Okay, New Zealand CAD, we'll take a look at that one as well. Gerald, what's up? Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're well. But yeah, we'll take a look at some indices, then we'll go through pound CAD as well and NZ CAD as well. But yeah, with some indices, they were very bullish the past few days. Of course, the US elections kind of gave everything a big kick to the upside. US 30s kind of left us in the dust a little bit. A really big candle closure on Wednesday, was it? Yeah, Wednesday. But now it's time for us to retrace, really. Let me just delete the market, delete the drawings. Now it's time for us to retrace. You can see how bullish the market's been, but now we're kind of pushing to the upper region, of this kind of bullish channel. We've been moving very, very well here, but now I kind of expect us to, go for a retracement period. Now it's not really something I would look to short, really, because if I'm going to trade the indices, 95% of my opportunities will be longs. The only time I'm looking to short is if the right conditions are met. And this is definitely not the right condition for me, because the market is still very much in a bullish cycle right now. When we go through our bearish cycles, we can speak about some shorts in these conditions here, because they do happen. But at the moment, we're definitely in a very bullish cycle right now. So I would not be interested with any sells, at least from a swing bias anyway. Lower time frames, you might be able to sneak something in. But naturally, you're going to expect the market to retrace now. And then if you come back to some of these areas around 42,500, then I think the buys look a lot better in these areas and probably expect another bounce to form. And then we speak about the buys again. But right now, this is definitely bearish territory, new all-time highs, very stretched market. You can see on the 4-hour time frame how the market just completely flew, without kind of any pullback at all, really. So the market is pretty stretched, new all-time highs at the upper region of that ascending channel. We're likely to see a bit of downside now with US 30 and probably some buys later on. But again, I wouldn't look to take any shorts. It's just way too aggressive. S&P, similar boat with that one as well in terms of a massive break to the upside. Again, not much pullback, but at some prices where you probably expect the market to go through its next pullback now. Maybe not quite at the top of that channel, but more or less not far off it. So naturally expecting us to top out and come back down again, find some more buys later on. But with S&P, it's difficult to find the short because you don't know where exactly price is going to sell off from. Looking a little bit bearish this morning. Maybe that's the start of a bearish move. Maybe price is just going to retrace for a couple of hours before pushing to the upside some more. It's difficult to say. I mean, there is a big psychological level here at 6K. Maybe we get to that area and start to stumble, but it's difficult to find the shorts. If you can pull back to some of these prices here, we can probably speak about some buys, but again, that probably won't be for a few more days. And then we can speak about some longs around 58.60. But overall, you see that we are very consistent with these higher lows. So the plan would be to look to find another one of those and expecting another push up high. But it's time for retracement for me. Time for retracement for the indices, S&P, US 30, NAS 100 as well. It does make sense to expect some retracement. I mean, we are looking pretty bearish this morning, I have to say. We are definitely seeing some momentum here. So we probably could see price continue to fall a little bit, but again, not be a trade that I would look to focus on at all. With NAS 100, I like this area here since we broke through it without a retest and kind of left price behind because we were stuck in this area with those higher highs, but now price is kind of disproportionately broken through that. So naturally, again, pullback is likely, and we'll be expecting a high low to form and a continuation. Got a lovely test there, second, third, looking for continuation and the next high low. So yeah, indices really bullish to me. I do think it's time for retracement though. So we'll be expecting some downside, but not really an opportunity I would take given the circumstance and the situation of the market being very bullish and in a very bullish cycle as well. So not the best climate to be shorting markets. But on the other hand, I do expect the market to retrace. You have a quick look at some of the other indices quickly. UK 100. Oh my word, look at that for a move. I think that happened, was it this morning? Yeah, price is absolutely tanked. So yeah, very interesting. I was expecting a bounce from this low here, but I mean, we did get that bounce. It just didn't look like it's lasted too long with that big wick to the upside. Now we're looking very bearish. I wonder why that's happening. I wonder why, because it's very bearish all of a sudden, and all the indices looking like they're bearish together. If you take a look at the DAX, yeah, it's looking pretty bearish too. I mean, I still like the buys a little bit lower down, retesting the high here. So that's still where I would like to take some longs from if I was looking to trade the DAX. But yeah, the indices is looking pretty bearish this morning. And of course, we had a look at the Japanese index as well, and that looked like it's seeing some downside too. But yeah, we'll see how long that lasts for. Overall, they're all still very much in bullish climate, so I do expect them to keep pushing up higher. We'll take a look at pound CAD, and then we'll go take a look at New Zealand CAD as well. Yeah, so pound CAD, a market that's still trying to grind higher. I'm looking for a big move down at some point, but looks like it's taking its sweet time to actually give us that big bearish move that I'm looking for. Again, if I go to the weekly chart, in fact, if I go to the monthly chart, actually, you can see where we're trading and why I'm expecting such a big move down is because if we can hold into this area, I do think we'll go through a bit of a retracement, at least, of this bullish move. because essentially this is a big range we've been trading in, high, low, now back at the high if you respect it. Oh, did not mean to click that button there. I'm so sorry if I blinded anyone on the stream there because that was pretty bright. I think I actually clicked F1 there. But yeah, expecting a big move to the downside there for pound CAD. And if we can break through that trend line, for me, that would be the catalyst of that big bearish move. So you can see all the high lows the market's being very consistent with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on and so forth. If we continue with that, there's a possibility we might see a big break to the upside. But all price is doing really now is just squeezing between that resistance and that trend line. So we're going to see a breakout at some point. Which direction? We'll let the market tell us. Either which way, there's opportunities both to the upside and to the downside. If you see a strong break of the high there, there will be an opportunity for some break and retest. If it's a big enough break and we see a nice retest opportunity, if we do break to the downside, which is the move I'm looking for, then I'm looking for price to clear this area of support. We've seen a lot of rejections in this area. So I'm looking for price to break 1.785. And that's kind of the area which I'm looking for price to get to for a retest and for some sell opportunities there as well. So yeah, pound CAD, I do think downside is likely. You just need to wait for it to happen, and then I can look to follow. Trading inside of this area here just becomes very, very difficult. I'm not too sure what you're looking at for pound CAD. Let me know, maybe on the lower time frames. But because it's kind of squeezing between that resistance and trend line, it's just going to be a lot of fluctuation, a lot of back and forth, not really clean opportunities. When I'm looking to trade, I want to see momentum, and I want to trade from clear areas of support and resistance. And if you can break through that, it could be a nice buy, and break through that could be a nice sell. But otherwise, I don't want to get involved in here because I know I'll be flinged back and forth until the breakout does happen. So that's kind of where I'm waiting up for for pound CAD. Now moving on to NZD-CAD, which you said you got a trade on for. So you got a short position on. So I'd imagine you entered the short position recently, so probably in regard to that area over there, which I think is a nice place to short from 100%. Now for NZD-CAD, we do have this kind of bullish channel the market has been trading in. And I have been looking for price to push to the lower end of that channel, but unfortunately, we didn't quite have enough juice to get there. Aussie CAD, on the other hand, did see that move, and we take a look at that market at some point. But yeah, NZD-CAD, I was looking for the buy coming into that lower end of the channel, but it doesn't look like we've seen that test. And we might still see price continue down to go and test it, and this would be a nice area for that. But I wouldn't bank on it because we're seeing a lot of rejection at the lows here, and this looks to me like a bit of a fake out of that level of support. So really strong support there, multiple tests, big move down, price quickly recovers that, characteristic of a big fake out essentially. So if you do look to short here, I think targets around that area there, 0.829, make the most sense. Or at least have targets at that area. If you're looking to take it further, for example, if you're looking to target the swing low here, again, makes sense, possibility which could happen, but this is really the area to contend with, because I wouldn't be surprised if you push down just to see the market, put that higher low in and push up against you. So I think keeping an eye on 0.829 will be very, very important. If we do break through there, great. Your targets at the low probably will be hit if that's where you're targeting, and then maybe you can see that push there to the lower end on the daily chart as well. But I would be very careful at that 4-hour support. But nice level of resistance. I assume you're shorting from here. I assume your stop losses you are probably around here or above the high of the wick. And I bet the risk reward looks pretty good back into the low. So nice place to short. But I'll be careful about stretching that trade too far because overall the market is still very, very corrective. But in terms of getting the best areas to short on, especially markets like this, back up major resistance, especially resistance that created new lows. As you can see, we broke structures to the downside, created a new lower high always a nice place to short, and especially when you see aggressive wicks as well. Wicks are a great way to tell if the market is going to bounce from an area of, I mean, whatever area you're looking at, supply and demand, support and resistance, trend lines, moving averages, Fibonacci, whatever characteristic, ever tool you're using, wicks are a great way to tell if the market's about to turn, because there are, it's an indication in itself, accompanied with other indications like other technical tools. They can combine to create a really nice signal of if the market's about to turn or not. And typically I use wicks quite a lot, and in my entries I'm looking for momentum in like bullish and bearish engulfing candles, but I'm also looking for wick rejections. And when they accompany each other, when I get a big wick rejection followed by a nice bullish engulfing or bearish engulfing, they can be really nice, powerful entry patterns. And you can see here wicks. If you typically look back at price, the top and the bottom of markets, and normally when the wicks do form, and that's when price does reverse. There are some better markets to use wicks. I would say the major markets are the best ones, because in the minors we kind of wick a lot more, so the wicks are slightly less meaningful because it happens more often. But in pairs like Euro USD, Pound USD, Aussie dollar, even when price action is a bit more neat and tidy, when you do see exaggerated wicks in those charts, have a lot more meaning of what price is going to do. And for example, if you take a look at a pair like Aussie CHF, which does wick a lot, the wicks are a lot less meaningful in these climates. So you get a lot more wicks around, and they still are effective, but less effective. You take it compared with Euro USD, which is a lot tidier price action. I say tidy, and we just saw a bit of a news there event as well, but you can see the wicks here a lot more kind of exposed, a lot more kind of significant, and they do mean a little bit more when you deal with them with Euro USD, because they happen a lot less. You can see all the wicks are not very big, and then you suddenly get a big wick there, and we did see a bit of downside from that. Major wicks up there, did see a lot of downside from that as well. But of course, you don't want to be looking at wicks just everywhere and anywhere. It has to be accompanied with other structure, support, resistance, trend lines, and that's really where you want to be looking for your wick rejections. But yeah, looking at SD CAD's price action just made me want to focus on that, because there were some nice wicks down the 4 hour. And if we can keep that resistance intact, I would expect to see a bit of a move down. So yeah, I do like NZD CAD there. There is definitely room to the downside. If you go through some of the crosses, I mean, if I take a look at some of the, actually, if I go to EuroCAD, which is another CAD pair, and of course, if you are trading CAD as well, be aware, you do have unemployment rate at 1:30 UK time. Yeah, 1:30 UK time, so be aware of that. But probably should see CAD weakness. So yeah, it might not be the best, but we'll see. But yeah, for EuroCAD, we had a lovely wick this week. After the elections, price drops to the downside, getting back into a really healthy area of support. As you can see, a lot of rejections twice, third time, a fourth time, and a fifth time. And this is what you call a really textbook range here for EuroCAD. You got the highs over here. Oh, did not mean to do that. You got the highs over there, what price has been respecting very, very well. And we've been rebounding from the low end and the top end of the range very, very well consistently. So this is kind of where you want to focus your efforts. Again, if you're trading conditions like this, buying very, very low or selling very, very high, especially after you see kind of fake outs and exaggerated moves, because those are the ones that kind of stop out a lot of, take out a lot of stop losses, and then eventually you see the bigger move. So a wick like this is a nice indication the market's about to push. Another wick like that as well. Even wicks like this as well, nice indication the market's about to push. And when you're trading right at the low of the bottom of range, right at the top, you're in a great place to take opportunities and take trades in those areas. But yeah, if you go through some of the crosses, because I haven't really spoke about them much. So pound Aussie we did touch on, pound NZD not so much as well. I'm kind of waiting for a bigger move to the downside now. Did not mean to do that. I'm looking for a bigger move to the downside now for pound NZD. I'm still long biased, but I do want price to come a lot lower now. I like the retest of the high here, along with that trend line bounce there at 2.126. I still think the bigger move for pound NZD is back to the high, all the way up there at 2.19. But I do need to see a bigger correction. Otherwise, it's difficult to get some nice opportunities because the market's still a little bit stretched. And it does look like we're breaking through that 4-hour trend line as well, which was part of the confluence which I was looking to trade with last week. So I was looking for the bounce off this area here. And we did see a nice bounce. However, it didn't last too long. It did come into that area, then we would have rejected and sold off. So it wasn't really the best move, but now that we have broken through that, I'm looking at pound NZD to see a bit more downside before looking for some longs. And like I said, 2.1 to 500, 600 is kind of where I'm looking to focus those longs at, because we've been very consistent with the higher lows. And what my plan is to look for that next higher low in this bullish sequence. And it kind of lines up really well with pound Aussie as well. If I go to pound Aussie, you can see higher low, higher low, higher low. And again, looking for the next one, similar trade idea really, looking for us to push down, retest some structure. Ooh, that is the wrong tool. Retest some structure around here, looking for a big buy around 1.93. Then again, looking for a big push to the upside there as well. So in my book, there's a lot of upside to be had for pound Aussie and pound NZD. And of course, they line up pretty well with each other, which is nice to see because they're very correlated markets. So if you're looking for a buy in pound NZD, 9 times out of 10, you're looking for a buy in pound Aussie as well. In terms of their neighbors, Euro Aussie and Euro NZD, these guys are a lot more choppy, and I'm not a big fan of these markets. This was the opportunity I was discussing yesterday, but not really a pair I'm looking at myself. And the main reason is because it's just kind of in a big consolidation. If there was a slight trend to it, I would buy into that. And there was a slight trend here. The market was slowly falling to the downside, but since then we've had a big move to the upside and things have become a lot more choppier on Euro NZD. So what I'm actually waiting for really with this one is the break of this low here. I think that might start a really nice trend to the downside. Of course, that might take a while to happen, which is completely fine because there's multiple other pairs which I'm looking at in the meantime. So I'm happy to wait for Euro Aussie. It's the beauty of trading in a lot of markets. You can wait for opportunities to really set because there's almost always another opportunity you can look to take. But in the meantime, we did have a pretty big sell-off yesterday. So there could be a nice short, kind of like a big head and shoulder pattern. So you got your left shoulder over there. You got your right, you got your head over there. And of course, that being a right shoulder. Back into resistance there again, and you can see a big reaction at that same area. So it could be a nice short, but because of the conditions, I'm not really looking forward to trade it. So it's a pair which, again, like I said, I'll wait for that big breakout before looking to do anything. But it's definitely a nice place of resistance to look at, 1.63349. I'll keep an eye on that if I was interested in that market. But I'm definitely not. There are other markets which are looking a lot better. UNSD, a similar situation as well. In terms of we had a big move to the downside, we could come back, retest that area and see some more downside, of course. If I expand to the higher time frames, you can see overall the market is very much within a big range. So very, very difficult to take any opportunities or follow any trends because there just isn't really one to take really. But yeah, going into the 4-hour chart, I like the high over here. If the market was to come back and retest that, I think that's a nice place to look for some opportunities, for some downside, at least back into some lows here. And you can probably call it a day. I wouldn't look for a big swing, just not the best conditions for it. But moving to that support level, to me, looks pretty likely for us to get there. And then we can go from there. What's up, Wondering? Okay, so you're looking at pound USD shorts. Okay, let me quickly go through a few more of these crosses and I'll take a look at pound USD for you. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm eyeing up for Euro NZD. In terms of Euro Pound and Aussie New Zealand dollar, then I'll take a look at Pound USD for you. So yeah, we're at some really nice support here for Pound Euro Pound, and I do think we're probably going to go for a bit of a bounce now. It's a difficult opportunity because price at the low, so it's a little bit difficult to try and catch the low, but price has had a really tough time trying to break through support. And of course, because I keep mentioning where we're trading in a massive, massive level of support in the higher time frames, I do think it makes sense to try and expect a bit of a bounce here. You can see major reactions, another one there as well. And I do think a big reaction is going to form in the next few weeks. So looking to take buys right at that low makes sense. I wouldn't look to try and look for a crazy move like that, although it is definitely possible. But I think a move back into resistance here makes a lot of sense. Call it a day. Maybe we bounce and continue a little bit lower. And that could be the case as well. But nice place to at least book some profit. So Euro pound buys do look good around 0.83 and at least expecting push into 0.834. In terms of Aussie New Zealand dollar, again, very difficult market to trade if you're looking to trade trends anyway, because this one just ain't really trending. Very, very choppy market. I mean, we're slowly trying to push the upside, so I can see something trying to form there, but we're just not in the right place to actually trade that. If we are going to see some upside, any price to push back down into these lows, then we can discuss some buys again and maybe another higher low forming. I can see prices really stuck at this area of resistance here. So there could be some upside here for Aussie New Zealand dollar, but I need to break out of that, or we need to come a lot lower, and then we can discuss that. But right now, I'm not really in the best area. I wouldn't look to short it either. Just very, very difficult market conditions. Unless if you're looking to trade mean reversion, then it's not a bad chart. Otherwise, horrendous. Anyway, we'll go through that pound USD opportunity you're looking at, and then we'll go through some CHF markets as well. Appreciate it, Kojo. If you guys do enjoy the analysis, finding it useful, informative, educational, entertaining, please be sure to drop a like on the stream. It does really help out. And of course, make sure you do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Just hit the mic there. Hopefully I haven't deafened anyone. But yeah, I do think there is upside to be had for pound USD. I'm looking for a bit of a move here. It's just very difficult to see in terms of a buying opportunity. So I'm kind of staying patient with pound because we've been in this descending channel for a while now. And I do think it's eventually going to break to the upside. We well could see another move to the downside before that. And price could push back into the low. We were looking at this support here a lot yesterday, around 1.28672. And it has been a steady level of support. And of course, it lines up really well for a nice daily level as well. So if I look to the left, really strong resistance over here. If I take that across, it has been acting as really strong support there as well. So price has been doing pretty well at rejecting that level. And it might be the level that sends us to the moon. And as I've said multiple times, when the market's corrected like this, we do eventually break to the upside. So I'm expecting that move. However, in terms of trading it, you can't look to buy now. Essentially, you're kind of waiting for price to make that move first, and then you get that pullback, or you're looking to wait for price to push down at the low, and then you're looking to buy there. Either way, those are the opportunities for the longs, waiting for the breakout and the pullback, or you're looking to anticipate the buy at the low. At the moment with pound USD, we're kind of just trading on that trend line here. It looks like price trying to break it, but not quite convinced yet. Last time we had a nice break, it did turn out to be a big fake one. So I want price to really push through and actually take out that high before I start to consider it's actually a breakout. And then we can discuss some pullbacks and some longs. Wondering, you said you're looking to short from around 1.30253. Let me drop to the hourly chart. So you're looking for 1.30253. Okay, so somewhere around here. Not bang on the money, but roughly there. Not a bad area to be honest, because essentially price has rejected this area a few times now, or at least solidly twice, one, two there. So you can definitely see price push into this area and see some type of reaction. I wouldn't bank on it being such a big move back to the lows. So that would be my only kind of two pence really is that it's a nice place to short 100% because you can see massive wick over there, big push to the downside, price came into there again, big push to the downside. So in terms of the technicals, in terms of it being a solid level to short from, I do 100% agree with that. And I think if we do get there again, you could probably see another reaction. Of course, I'd wait to see how price gets there. If we've seen some wicks, price slowing down, that could be a nice place to short. Um, so yeah, I do agree that's a nice place to short, but I do think price will probably react and eventually put a higher low in and probably break through. So I think the bigger move is to the upside there for pound. So I wouldn't look for a long-term short from that. You can do, of course, I could be wrong. Maybe pound USD does have another push to the downside. So you manage your trading accordingly. But I will be careful of that because the market is extremely tired with pound USD. You can see how tired we are on the 4-hour chart. We've already had a big drop since the high there in September. And the market has been slowly correctly pushing to the downside. So the market is pretty tired. I do expect it to kind of have a bit of a breather and break to the upside. So that move there to me is pretty likely to happen. But I can definitely see that it's a solid level resistance. So if you're looking to short, that is the place to do it, especially if you do leave that channel. But I do think it's going to be a short-term reaction before a move up higher. So that's kind of what I'd be looking at for pound. No problem. Happy to help. Let me know what you're looking at. Hey, what's up, Lordo? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Okay, we'll take a look at gold, and then I'll go through some more CHF pairs. So yeah, with gold, everything has been very, very interesting because of course we had the big drop on Wednesday. Then we actually had a bit of a recovery. Now I was looking to buy gold in 2680, but it hasn't really set up well. So I'm kind of just staying away from gold for now and waiting for things to digest. I actually do have a setup on silver, which I'm looking at, which I can take a look after this. Um, so yeah, I'm more focused on silver. With gold, I can actually see some short-term sells. Now, I'm definitely nowhere near a bear on gold, at least in the higher time frames. That is, everything is still very bullish to me. This is still a major swing low, which gave us the high. Oh, that is a bit wonky. There we go. This is still the major swing low, which gave us the high up there. So overall, the market is still very much bullish. And for me to be actually bearish on the higher time frames, you need to see some meaningful downside. Then okay, you might continue to sell. But I'm still bullish on the higher time frames. So I'm still looking for upside, but I can definitely see on the lower time frames, the 4-hour, the hourly chart, that we've sold off very, very aggressively here. And we do have this brief consolidation just above us there. So I won't be surprised if gold does push up, especially if it does it correctively. We might have another reaction here and a nice sell. Now, I wouldn't look to hold onto that sell for a long time, like say back to the low here. I think that's a bit too aggressive because I think gold might react, but it's probably going to put a higher low in somewhere and then continue higher up. But this move is probably going to be enough or worthwhile to profit from anyway. Then we might speak about the buys later on. So I actually do like the sells there for gold, retesting that consolidation. Of course, we'll see how we get there and how we react. But on paper, it looks like a nice place for a short, 27.30. I just wouldn't expect price to sell off completely. So that's the only thing I would say. It'd be more like a short-term reaction trade, and then maybe the buys kick in, and we keep pushing up. But on silver, I actually have an opportunity which I do like. I was looking to buy from 32.5 this week, but the level didn't hold. Now I'm more concerned about this area at this low here, which is around 30.5, 30.4. So I'm going to look again for another buying opportunity there for silver. Again, not necessarily expecting silver just to continue all the way back to the high. It could do. But I think a realistic target for silver back to roughly this area here, 32.3, looks pretty good. I will be trading a stop loss, so I'll see how far I can take it, but I might secure some gains as we do approach this area, since there has been a sturdy level or resistance in the past. But I do like the setup here for silver if we can hang on to that. So my focus between the two has definitely shifted towards silver. I still think the bigger move for both of them is still up until I see a big break of structure. Then I'll look to analyze again. So for example, if silver does go and break the low here, that might insinuate a lot more downside. If gold does go and break the low over there, this low here, then of course that'll probably insinuate a lot more downside as well. But until that happens, yeah, I'm looking at buys. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with gold and silver. No problem. Happy to help, Andre. Okay, we'll go through some CHF pairs. So I've already touched on Oz CHF early on the stream, and basically I said shorts look good from where we're trading, but they've kind of happened. So unless we get back there again, then the boat's kind of sailed. You can see a lot of rejection here, bit of a fake out there, came back and retested. That to me looks like a nice place to short again if we were to revisit. I mean, overall, I'm still pretty bearish for the CHF pairs, but just not great opportunities, which is why I'm not really focused on them much. But not a bad reaction there. CAD CHF, I'm pretty sure we came roughly to the high of the range. Yeah, I mean, maybe missed it by a little bit, but more or less, yeah, back at the high. Maybe not perfectly, but more or less there. Price is reacting it. Now, will we see a full swing to the low end of the range? Maybe. I'm not really one to train ranges, but I know if I'm going to short the high of the range, more or less I'm targeting the low, but I probably will look to secure gains at the 50%. So if I do get a nice fib out, that's your 50%. So this would be the first target of a range, which price is roughly coming into now. And then if you do break through that, fantastic, we can target the low end. But nice reaction at the high. Price is looking pretty bearish now. Pound CHF, this one's been a bit awkward as well. I said I'm looking for price to come back into the high up there. Not quite so. It's just missed it, but we might still see another move up, to be honest. So I wouldn't write that off happening. But again, kind of looking to focus on the extremes. You can see here, down low, where you want to buy, up high, where you want to sell. In this area is where you want to stay away. This is where you get the most noise, and it's very, very difficult to trade consistently in those areas. So I would watch out for that. Euro CHF, this one, not much. Yeah, a bit of a move down. Again, this is still my area of focus for Euro CHF back into that high. And again, looking for a reaction, not necessarily looking to continue the swing to the downside, because this has been such a meaningful, significant level of support. Price keeps getting there, keeps respecting it. So there's no point to me try and target past that, especially with trading stops anyway, because there's a good chance price will get there, bounce, and probably hit my trading stop, show me out the market, and then maybe continue anyway. So I probably look just to secure gains at that low and call it a day. But that to me still remains a nice place to short from. So if we get there, I'll consider it. But in this area again, I want to stay away from all the noise. That's not where I want to be getting involved. And then New Zealand CHF was pretty bullish yesterday. Big move to the upside. I mean, not yesterday, early in the week. Again, still trading at major level of support, and I want to see if price is going to hold that, or or potentially break through. At the moment, it's doing a pretty good job at holding a support. So yeah, if price was to come back down and retest this area, I think that's a nice place for a buy. Something like that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the CHF pairs. Overall, pretty bearish still. CAD CHF, Euro CHF, Pound CHF, Aussie, New Zealand. But there are some nice buys that are brewing up down low as well. So I'll keep an eye on some of those opportunities. But overall, I'm not really focused on them. The best opportunity I have right now is Euro USD if it does pull back a little bit more, because I'm looking to buy at the low. Not too sure if we'll get there. Or silver if it does come a lot deeper as well. Back down at that low, still looking at the buy for some upside. Just need to see if it will come a little bit deeper. But yeah, I mean, with the movement this week, the US elections is the main thing because the Fed interest rate didn't do too much. Yes, they did it. Bit of movement on the lower time frames back and forth, but overall the market was pretty flat. But again, my bias has already been set in stone for a while now. I'm looking for that big move to the downside. The dollar came into that big area of confluence. So you're respecting it very, very well. So now I'm expecting a big move down. And the area which I'm attracted to in terms of targets, at least for USD anyway, 1025. So if you do see that push, that to me is a big sign that, okay, the yen, not the yen, I just saw your message here. That's why I said the yen. Why the USD can probably see a lot more downside. So I have to keep a close eye on that. But yeah, with the yen pairs, I'm actually really interested in them. I'm actually really interested, particularly USD JPY, because it's trading at a massive level on the weekly chart. And I'm not quite convinced if we're breaking above it. It looks to me that price might want to break back underneath. So you got the high over there, you've got the high over there. Of course, we retested the support briefly there as well. And now we're trading at that same area at the moment. And for me, this is a very pivotal area because if we break above this area significantly, then I'm expecting us to push back into the high, which is 161. If we don't, then we're probably going to see a big sell right back into this low. So either which way for dollar yen and CAD yen as well sets up quite nicely. Either which way for these two yen pairs, there's a big move to be had. And of course, it will be the same for the other yen pairs too. But at least these two yen pairs, and I'll take a look at CAD yen in a second, are very kind of clear cut. It's like if we break the level, bullish. If we don't, bearish. And at the moment, we've seen a couple dojis here. We had a strong close into the level a couple of weeks ago. But since then, we had a small candle doji last week. This week, same thing as well. But with this week, though, we left a big piercing wick to the upside. So we tried to continue bullish. We were very bullish at the start of the week. All that momentum seems to be erased just today, really, on Friday. So I'm going to keep a close eye and see how this weekly candle does close this week. We've still got about 10 hours left before that does happen. So a lot can happen. But we don't really have major news, so I don't think we'll look too different. But if we do start breaking to the downside, so if we go to the 4-hour chart, if we do start breaking to the downside, because this is a really strong level of support on the 4-hour chart, you can see a low there. We came back again, we bounced. Nice push to the upside. You know, we might come there and bounce again potentially. But if we do break through, see a strong break of that, that to me is an indication that, okay, that weekly chart there is failing. That weekly level there is failing. And we're probably going to get a big move to the downside. And that looks like a great level for some retest, in my opinion. So there could be some really big sells next week for the yen pairs. I need a little bit more information before I'm fully confirmed on that bias, but it looks like we're getting there. If I take a look at CAD yen as well, it's doing the same thing. If I go to the weekly chart, as you can see, major resistance once, twice, that wick there, and a third time here as well. You can see this weekly candle, big piercing wick to the upside. And again, it's pulled all the way back. And if it can close similar to how it's looking, that's a sign of a big rejection to me, which would make me expect bearish momentum next week. In terms of the market structure in the lower time frames, I do need to see some break structures though. So before I can look to actually take any sells, I need price to break lower. Then I'll speak about some lower highs somewhere, maybe a retest of the low. It really depends on how we break and how much momentum we see. But roughly, I'll be looking at something like this: a new low, a lower high, and then a drop. And the thing about the yen pairs is that there's so much room for us to move into. So especially with the way I trade with a kind of open target, this is kind of the best situation you want to be in, because we could really just tank all the way to these lows at 1035. With USD we just touched on, you know, we could tank all the way to the lows here at 141. So you could be onto some massive runners. And the thing about selling the yen pairs is that they do sell pretty hard. The buys always take, you know, twice as long as the sells. Just look at the average movement with the sells; they're always so much quicker than the buys. So if you blink, you miss it sort of situation with the yen pairs. But yeah, I need a little bit more downside before I start looking for opportunities. If we take a look at some other yen pairs as well, Aussie yen and New Zealand yen look like they've tried to break to the upside out of their ranges, but it looks like they're failing. So this is Aussie yen here. Made a nice consolidation. Price looked like it's broken out, and it did have a big breakout. but we need to see the retest. And at the moment, it looks like price is trying to break back underneath, and that might insinuate a big move to the downside there. Because if that is a big fake out, and we just wiped out, all the stop losses, which would have been above the high here, this is probably going to give us a nice move back to the low end of the range. And the key thing I'm waiting for is the break and retest. I'm not really interested in the range play because the bigger move to me is either the big swing we'll see to the downside or the big swing we'll see to the upside. So that's the move I'm interested in. And I'm waiting for the breakout. And I was looking to see if that can retest and hold. At the moment, doesn't look like likely. So I'll wait to see a move back down again. And if you can break the low, great. I'll speak about the retest and some shorts. Because again, there's a lot of room to the downside. Back into the low here, but more importantly, back into the low here as well. So there's a lot of room for us to move into. And I'm still kind of half guessing if this big drop here is just having a correction and the market's going to now continue that move to the downside. I'm still kind of thinking that. So yeah, I'm keeping that in the back of my mind for now. Same with New Zealand yen as well, which I touched on earlier too. This one looks like it had a lovely fake out to the upside. So again, just a slight pinch to the upside. Enough to get some people excited for a breakout, but not enough to actually give us the breakout. Now price is comfortably back within that range. So again, if we can break to the downside there's some really nice levels for a retest. Looking for opportunities outside of the range. And again, just like with Aussie yen, there's a lot of room for us to move into back into the low and maybe beyond that. And possibly we're just seeing the continuation of this move here. We're just seeing a lot of consolidation, and now price is getting ready to drop. So I like the shorts here with New Zealand yen. It's just probably got to wait a few days to actually get the break and retest. I mean, there's two ways you can go about it. You can take shorts up here with a stop loss above the high, anticipating the break. But you just have to be careful when prices get to the low of the range, because we could very much bounce and come back. So this kind of has to be your first target, kind of where you're looking to maybe secure some gains just in case we turn around. Or you can wait for the breakout and look for the retest of the of the level there and take the trade there. The only disadvantage really with this opportunity is that you don't always get the retest. Sometimes you're waiting for the breakout, but it just doesn't come back and retest. It might be a situation where we do see the breakout and the price just completely melts. So yeah, sometimes you don't get the retest you're looking for. But the second opportunity is a lot safer because you're outside the range and now you're expecting continuation. And this one you have to watch out for the low here. But either which, both good opportunities, and both can definitely see downside. And if I take a look at pound yen, for example, I'm expecting to see downside with this one. I still do like the buys a lot lower though. So if we go to the daily chart, I still think the buys here on the retest of that high there do look good. Possibly we might see a big bearish swing, but I want to see what we do as we approach this area here. I think that's still a place where the buys will be sitting there as well. So I do expect downside for the yen pairs. They're still very corrective, very stretched. We've had a big move from the low here to the high. I do expect us to have a bit of a breather at some point. Not quite convinced that the markets are just going to fly back to the high here in one go. Maybe that is the move, but we're probably going to do something like this on the way up. So there will be corrections and big bearish moves in the meantime. And that's the move I'm expecting now for pound yen, as with the other yen pairs as well. So that's kind of where I'm at with the yen pairs. I do think a move to the downside is likely, some more than others. And in particular, dollar yen and CAD yen, depending how we close this week, could set the tone for the next few weeks, really. So yeah, very interested to see how these guys get on. Gold update. So yeah, with gold, I'm still bullish, but not really seeing an opportunity to buy it just yet, or at least a good one anyway. I think in the meantime, some sales do look good around 27.30, I believe. Yeah, 27.30 look good. So I'm looking for the retest of this area here. As you can see, a brief consolidation in the market. Where we did have a slight pause. Then the market completely tanked to the downside, of course, off the back of the election. Now I do think price will probably push up a little bit higher and then probably push down. So 27.30 for me is kind of the area which I would consider shorts, but I just wouldn't try and take that trade back to the low here or look for continuation, because to me, gold is still bullish on the higher time frames, and that's the direction which I want to be taking my trades in. So if I'm going to go against that direction, I know that I'm going to be more aggressive with my trade management and quicker to get out of those trades if momentum is not going against me. Yeah, because I'm against the higher time frames. But yeah, gold shorts look good because of the big breakout. I think we can see a nice meaningful reaction there, but we might still see the bigger move to the upside. So I will be careful of that with gold. But in terms of the buys, I much prefer silver. And silver can move a little bit lower, around the 30.4 level, 30.5. That's why I look to see if I can get involved with some silver longs and take it higher. All right, no problem. Lauder, happy to help. If you guys are enjoying the stream and find it useful, please be sure to drop a like on the channel. It does really help out. I appreciate everyone who has liked the stream so far. And of course, subscribe whilst you're at it as well. But yeah, to me, silver looks a lot better right now. So I'm still going to be focused on the buys. I was looking to take the breaking retest here, but I decided to stay out of the market because of the US elections. And yeah, it did help out, to be honest, because if I did buy there, I would have definitely taken a loss there. But price has broken through and it's opened up the door to some opportunity a little bit deeper down. So I'm looking to see if I can catch that deeper bounce with silver now. That's our previous low, which gave us the high. Looking for the retest of that alongside of that bullish channel there as well, and at least a push back to that same resistance level. Maybe we break through and we go a lot further. You know, the possibility is there. The risk reward is there, but of course, I'm gonna make sure I do protect myself against that high, because I wouldn't be surprised if we come there and come right back down. It is a big higher time frame level after all, but buys do look good here for silver. Just gonna have to stay patient. I'm not expecting them to set up today, of course, because that'll be a pretty big move to happen in one day. But sometime next week, we might see the buys there develop, and that's kind of really where I'm looking to take trades in. But my main focus probably for next week is going to be USD and yen. Most of the time, it is USD and yen anyway, but I do think USD sells. USD weakness looks really good. Like I said, dollar DXY looks like it's trading at a really big level on the weekly chart. And if the weekly candle can close similar to how it's looking right now, it does look like to me it's just going to close pretty flat, big wick to the upside. That to me is a sign that we're topping out. Maybe next week we open up a little bit bullish and see a bit of an upper wick, but I do think we're probably going to see some downside next week, which means upside for euro, upside for Aussie dollar, upside for pound dollar. There could be some nice buys from then onwards. And like I said, the yen pairs as well, because the yen pairs might be getting ready for a big sell. Particularly dollar yen as well, and particularly CAD yen too. So there could be some big sells with these guys next week, or at least brewing up next week. I might not find the entry for the yen pairs next week. I think in terms of entries, that's where the USD pairs will come around. I think the yen pairs still need a bit of development. I don't know. Things might happen quickly, but there are some nice opportunities here. Again, look at this for CAD yen. Huge move to the downside. And now we've seen a fairly corrective move up, coming back into a big level. We've had a few attempts to try and break through. Let me just clean the chart for a little bit. You can see that we've had a lot of rejection there with the wicks on the weekly chart as well. So not a confident sign that the market is about to continue higher. And if we can keep this up, to me, it's a sign that price can have a really big move to the downside there. And as a swing trader, that's an opportunity which I want to make sure I can get into if I can find the trade. But yeah, to me, I am looking at some shorts here for CAD yen. Breaker structure would be the most important thing. And then shorts after that, maybe a retest of the low will look really good going forward. And a very similar opportunity in dollar yen as well. And breaking retest of the low, which is 151.900, 152 basically. If you can break that support level, because it has been pretty strong in the past, held a support there, strong move to the upside, held a support there, big strong move to the upside. So if we can break through that, that would be great. Looking for the retest of that area and then a big sell. So that's kind of where my focus will be regarding the yen pairs. But like I said, the break and retest, the regular structure might still take a few a few days to develop. So not going to be rushing into that opportunity, but definitely something I will keep a close eye on. And then the crosses, I'm not really seeing much on the crosses, to be honest. Pound Aussie, Pound NZD. I mean, I do like them if they do push a lot deeper. So Pound Aussie and Pound NZD, I do like the buys if there was come back into 1.92. Because again, we're keeping up these higher lows, 1, 2, 3. That to me looks like a nice place for a buy. A lot of confidence in that area, deep enough pullback. Again, given the conditions of the market being so choppy, I want to make sure I'm buying low and selling high. Buying lower than other buys and selling higher than other sellers is very much the plan in these type of conditions. And because there is still a slight uptrend, I don't mind the buys in this area. Same thing with Pound NZD as well. We are seeing continuations of this bullish trend. So again, look and see if I can find the next bounce for that higher low, but I need to see a lot more downside before I do get involved. You can see here for Pound NZD, strong level of support, retest of that prior high. That to me looks like a nice place to find some entries, but of course we're nowhere near that area. So any price to get there. So Pound NZD, Pound Aussie, I can see myself potentially getting some buys there if it does pull back. Euro pound, Aussie New Zealand dollar, no. Euro Aussie, no. Euro NZD, no. And then some of the CHF pairs, maybe Euro CHF. I do like the high up here because I'm still kind of continuing with these lower highs in this cycle. So I don't mind that, but definitely not the best opportunity, really. And of course, we need to make a move up there first, which may or may not happen. We're still kind of moving back and forth in this area, so we might just keep that up, but definitely not at the top of my watch list next week. But of course, I'll see how some weekly candles close and how some week close. We still do have some news later today with the unemployment rate for CAD. How is oil doing? I haven't actually looked at oil. Okay, so oil's still just hanging on for dear life on that level there. Keeps coming back for a retest and keeps rejecting, to be fair. It keeps holding pretty well. So this is the area which I discussed yesterday and the day before as a nice place to short from. We kept seeing a lot of rejection, kept seeing a lot of wicks, and still remaining a really nice place to sell from. You can see how price reacted it previously over there as well. Briefly support there too. So to me, this is a nice place for a short, and possibly we might see a swing back into the low. Really strong support in this area. That to me looks like a comfortable place to target for a trade, because that's essentially all the market's been doing, fluctuating up and down. Minus this kind of big move up there. All we've been doing is just kind of fluctuating between the high and the low. So I do think there's a good chance we can push back into that low there again. And I bet the risk reward looks pretty good there too. Stops above the high. If price does break through that, I'm probably going to push to the upside anyway. So you don't want to be in the trade anyway if price is breaking up there. So stops above the high look good. And you've got a pretty nice target down there too. So I think oil does look really nice for some shorts. And we've got that weekly level below us, which I think price is probably due another retest of, which is down here. And then maybe we get another big bounce on, and maybe price reverses. Yeah, I mean, I don't trade oil, but if I was looking to trade oil, I'll definitely be looking at the short side of things here as we hold into 72. But yeah, for me next week, it's probably just going to be silver and Euro USD. And then maybe some of the yen pairs if they can break lower. Yeah, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar have kind of already seen some upside. So I think the boat is kind of sailed away with them. Dollar CHF, maybe that one could look good. We're respecting that high pretty well. Maybe if you come back for another retest, I might look for another entry. But it might take a while. So yeah, it's only that Euro USD. And dollar CAD is not bad. It's a little bit of an aggressive trade as well, but it's not a bad opportunity if we were to come back and retest the high up there. Again, if I go to the weekly chart, oh, that is definitely not the weekly chart. If we go to the weekly chart, you can see we're still trading in massive resistance. So again, if you can hold that, that looks like a nice place to short to me. And it lines up very well with my dollar bias, because if the dollar does hold into that level there too, then you're probably going to see dollar CAD take a tumble as well. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on those markets. So USD and yen will be my main focus, but I'll definitely wait till the end of the day to see how the candles close on the weekly chart before cementing my bias. But yeah, guys, we have come to the end of the stream. If you have found the stream useful, entertaining, and informative, please be sure to drop a like on the stream. It does really help out. As always, I'll be live again every day next week. So if you are free, feel free to pop in 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time as well. Make sure you check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. You can find your discount codes there for 50% off your next Elevating Traders challenge. And of course, you can join the Discord and chat with other traders, including myself, about different opportunities and things you're looking at in the market. So if you are interested, make sure you head over and check that out. But guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Hope you have a great Friday, great weekend, of course, well rested, and come back strong next week. Really take care of the markets. Don't think I have any major news events, so no excuse for blowing any accounts today. But early this week, definitely with the elections, there was some big moves. But hopefully the market will settle and we see some nice trends forming now, and we can look to kind of follow that momentum from now until the end of the year. But guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Have a fantastic day. I'll catch you all in the next one.